You ever change your mind about music?
I feel like not very often. Maybe, no.
I feel like I don't have a mind to change. I just like it all.
Like what I'm saying is like, do you ever go like, oh, I hate country, and then all of a sudden you're like, I've been listening to country for an hour.
I have more of that when it comes to specific songs.
Songs.
Yes.
We had someone, a new staff member join our office, Brett, and he only listens to country music.
A Canadian. Well, yeah, he had a Banff t-shirt on yesterday.
I saw that.
Banff.
And he was listening to, what's his name?
Morgan.
Zach.
Zach Bryan.
Yeah, Zach Bryan.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I'd never thought I liked country.
Until
that, yes. So you're 100%. I've been influenced.
I changed my mind recently about this Christian artist. Have you heard of this kid, Forrest Frank?
I'm obsessed.
Yeah, this guy's so good. And at first I was like, oh, like, yeah, it's cool. Like it's cool. Like I see him with Lecrae, did a song, and I think he did a song with Chandler
City.
Moore. Yeah, Mav City, also AKA Chandler. Mav City's like a whole group. This is an artist. But like recently, my boys started like singing these Forrest Frank songs. So I'm like, let's put them on constantly. So I'm all in now.
Yep.
Yes, we need him on the podcast.
Wait, Forrest Frank?
Yeah.
He reminds me of, do you remember Chase Tarka?
It feels like if Chase Tarka had a musical career.
That's exactly right. And in the best, I said it in the biggest compliment to
it's a compliment.
Forrest. Chase had that same big smile and like that just levity and laughter and
golden retriever kind of like
just you could just tell this is a good person.
Yeah.
So whenever I see Forrest, I feel like I'm watching Chase totally 100%.
I found Forrest on TikTok and I felt like I discovered him. Whenever I find someone,
you personally discovered him.
Like this video has 230 million views. I'm like, I found him.
Have you guys seen that's this guy? Exactly right. That's exactly
this guy I found.
I was just on Disney and I found Bluey. Like, bro, stop. You didn't find Bluey. You're not telling parents about Bluey. I think they were discovered.
Yeah, I found him. Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing about music that's so interesting is like I find myself going like, man, I'm not a fan of that.
And then you're singing it the next day.
Yeah, that immature person that's like, nah, I'm not going to Applebee's. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like 6 apps in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm convinced like if you listen to if you watch like a Lifetime movie, you're going to be like hooked on it.
Of course.
Once you start
a Hallmark Lifetime movie, get out of here. But this is my thing about even like my kids, like my boys, like I forget which movie it was, but Winston's like, I'm not watching that. I'm not watching that movie. Cause it's like, maybe it's like Sound of Music or something his mom's watching. And he's like, I'm not watching that. And then like 30 minutes later, he's like still on the couch, like glued.
And they like know all the songs.
It's like, I feel like that way about music. It's like you make up your mind. I'm not going to like this artist. And you're like, I think you know every Taylor Swift lyric. Like you just got to admit that you kind of like Taylor.
Yeah.
Have you ever? We got gifted tickets to go see Lauren Daigle, and I hadn't really listened to her music or anything like that. And I was like, yeah, let's go. So Steph and I went, and I didn't know any of the songs. And halfway through, I'm like,
oh my gosh, stop!
And I'm like,
she's the greatest.
Is she country too? Like I don't.
No, she's like an artist. Shout out to Lauren Daigle, who, by the way, I don't know. Do you mean? Well, I mean, like not country. She's like I don't know, like general, like pop.
Okay.
I got a great Lauren Daigle. So a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 Sunday nights ago, right before I get up to preach, someone's like, "Hey, just a heads up, Lauren Daigle's here." And we toured with Lauren like a couple years ago, and I love her. We had the best time, and she's just, speaking of Chase Tarka, he was on that tour with me. Anyways, so after the service, I go around, I'm going to go out to the courtyard, and I'm like, I really hope, I want to see her. And so I see her, and I just, oh my gosh, you're here. I'm just so, no way. And so I give her a big hug, and I'm like, how are you? And she's like, so she starts typing to me everything that she wants to say. She's the sweetest. She's typing like the nicest notes. And then I'm reading it and I'm like reading it out loud for her. And she's like, yeah. And then she like erases it and writes. And then I'm just like, this is a kind human. This is a good person.
Wait, Chad.
What? Oh, crud.
Oh, I'm scared.
Uh-oh.
April told me a story.
Oh, no.
About she found out afterwards that she was at service and she couldn't talk. But during our minute to mingle,
she was like saying,
She told me, I met this deaf woman
No.
who couldn't talk at our service, but she was the sweetest woman. And then after service, she finds out, she saw someone went up and was like, oh, Lauren.
That's not.
And that's why she's not on this podcast
not
anymore.
real.
That's why that little rock collector, that little rock collector got kicked out of this podcast
Kicked out.
right there. Is because
When did
she
she
thought
realize it wasn't a
Lauren
deaf
Daigle.
Well, once the whole service and everything was over, someone was like, oh, Lauren was here. She couldn't talk.
No, yeah.
And she was like, oh my God.
I'm just like the logistics, like there was no like interpreter, like
Yeah,
sign,
no, she
like-
just, bless her heart.
Okay, April.
Bless her heart, April. We miss you here at Leadership Lean In. You've moved on to bigger and better things. We miss you down here at Leadership Lean. I'm kidding. We love April. She's the greatest. All right, let's have some fun. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Leadership Lean In. We are leaning into the subject of leadership. Our goal, as always, is just to get just a little bit better. We say this all the time. It is impossible. We cannot promise perfection, but as always, promised and delivered progress. We got the merch out, by the way. People are representing. Nate Dogg is representing the hat as promised progress. Pick up your hat. And by the way, thank you to every person that likes and subscribes. A special shout out to everybody that comments. Leave a comment right now. Leave a little comment right there. I'm leaning in from Indiana. I'm going to Indiana tomorrow, by the way. Can't wait to be there. Indianapolis. Let us know where you're leaning in from. Always awesome to find out people are leaning in from all over the place. I heard a story about two people that are in our church at Zoe, and they discovered that they're both leaners, but they wanted to be like low key and discreet about it. Mm-hmm. They're like, wait, are you listen as well? And the other person was like, yeah, but don't tell anybody. And I'm like, maybe people in art context don't want to admit or wear the merch, but I'm proud to be a leaner. I am a member of the community. We're not the biggest nation in the whole world, but we are the leaner nation. Every time I say leaner nation, it reminds me of Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation. We are a part of the Rhythm Nation. You don't know this?
I wish I could.
I was 10 when this song came out. I was in fourth grade, so this is before you guys were around. Anyways, we are a part of the Leaner Nation.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break from our Leadership Lean In to shout out one of our sponsors. Big shout out to BELAY. And this is what we know. BELAY, just like us, we value our time, our effort, our efficiency, and our energy. Maybe you're a leader on here, you've started a business, you're a church leader, and one of those things sound like a blind spot for you. You want to be more efficient, you want to take care of your time better, you want to make sure all the things you're doing have the right value. Well, I think BELAY can help you out, and we have a little special offer for you.
And hey, because we want you to get the best deal, I'm going to make sure that I read all of these specifics for you and that we don't miss anything. So first, you need to download a copy of BELAY's latest resource. It's called The 5 Blind Spots That Sink Your Leadership. It has 5 critical aspects of leadership that we all need to stay tuned into. Just text LEANER to 55123 for your free download. That's LEANER, LEANER, to the number 55123. And if you're ready to tackle some of these blind spots, BELAY has the support that you need. Whether it's administrative, accounting, or social media task pulling you away from what's most important, BELAY's exceptional US-based talent can take it off your plate.
Overflow has been one of our sponsors for a long time, and for a good reason. Overflow has completely innovated and changed the game of giving, donations, and fundraising for not just churches, okay? It used to be just for churches. Now they partner with companies or teams like the Golden State Warriors to make sure that they're empowered to be able to receive funds, not just through traditional means like cash. We all love cash, but crypto, through stocks, through bonds, through wills, through all sorts of different ways. And so if you're looking to innovate giving at whatever organization you're in, whether it's a church or it's a team like the Golden State Warriors, you have to check out overflow.co/LLI to book a demo with them. How cool is this? They have this new technology where if you want to give, it's as easy as paying for something like at a coffee shop. Like you can just use Apple Pay.
Like a tap to pay.
Yeah, a tap to pay,
Wow.
a tap to give. How cool is that?
That's really
and
cool.
so check out their new technology. Again, they're innovating, they're changing the game. Check out Overflow.
We're jumping in. Today we're talking about, do you ever do that? Like just getting excited. And here we go.
I think it's a unique
Try
thing
and do it. Let me just see yours. Let me see. Let me see it. Very good.
Okay.
That was a bit much. It was a bit aggressive. Yours is like.
Can you tell him I'm a visual learner, so all I did was copy what his hands
Yeah,
did.
and then he tried to one up. He was that was your fault.
The creative in the room.
Yeah.
No,
We're in a
my
competition.
lack of rhythm just looks like.
I'm wearing the
come
hat
on.
today. That's disgusting. And today we're talking about build your life. Build your life. And what I love about leadership is that you're building something. You're building something great.
That's right.
And it takes time. We say it all the time at LLI. Greatness isn't built in a day. It's built daily. And you're building something. It takes time. It takes a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hard work, a lot of faithfulness, a lot of grit, a lot of resilience, a lot of ebbs and flows. I think building something is like, praise God. Yesterday the stock was up, and this, thank God, looks like there's a lot of green on my Robinhood, but I've seen the last few weeks a lot of red. It's got ebbs and flows and ups and downs and highs and lows. But at the end of the day, it's seeing the big picture.
Right.
That I'm building my life. There's a scripture I've always loved when Paul the Apostle says that he became a master builder. And I love that idea that, I don't think when he started, he's like, I'm a master builder. You don't come out of the womb a master builder. You learn how to build teams. You learn how to build budgets, build events, build a disciplined lifestyle. You're building your life. And by the way, no one else is coming to build for you.
Right.
No one else is building your future, your name, your bank account. You're building something. And I always love that idea that I'm partnering with God to build. Mm-hmm. So the greatness to me as far as a leadership mindset goes is this mindset of going like, I know that there's a lot of weaknesses. I like Gary McIntosh. He talks about the dark side of leadership. To every leader, there's a dark side. So I've got strengths that are on display. I've got weaknesses simultaneously that are on display. I've got a bright side of my leadership. I've got a dark side of my leadership. So it takes time to build. It's not overnight. No one's an overnight success. That doesn't even exist in life. Right. But I like this idea of trying to build something. I think the desire to be great is such a great thought, such a great plan, such a great, desire, realize, the proverb says, when you realize a desire, the Bible says it's sweet to the soul. Now, when desire is fulfilled, it's a tree of life, it says, but desire realized, I want to have a family. I want to get married. I want to, write a book. I want to start a business. Desire, it's just sweet to the soul to have a desire.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you should desire to build a life, and just a few hacks in your leadership I want to share today. Number one, you got to lean into your future. Every time you don't lean into your future, the future will win. And the future will dominate you. Wow. So I cannot afford to ignore my future. I've got to lean into it. There's a scripture I've always loved. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. So what is that saying? It's like, I got to make a plan. There's no way I could be successful without leaning into my future. So don't just lean into wisdom. Don't just lean into knowledge or understanding or lean into leaders and books. Lean into your calendar. Lean into your schedule. Lean into your future. Make a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year kind of broad brush plan. I want to be here. I want to be doing this. I want it to look like that. I think, planning to me is such a hack in life. It's such a developed skill set. You start to plan your days, you plan your weeks, plan your months. Maddie and Natalie and Julie and I do this often. We sit down, we just talk about the next 30, 60, 90.
Right.
And it might seem monotonous and boring and dull and routine, but out of that, I'm able to catch something and see something and plan something. Let's get a meal there. Let's meet with them. Let's do this. And I can get strategic. That's where I'm gaining my heart of wisdom. But I'm leaning into my future, because if I don't, I always believe leadership is either being deliberate or being default.
Yeah.
You're either going to deliberately carve out your future, or you're going to default to what you've always known.
That's really good.
I just do this. It's who I am. It's where I go. It's what I'm about. I go to the gym. I do it. Default. No, to be a great leader, I think you got to be deliberate. You got to set your intention. And so when you're talking about building your life, that's awesome. You got the desire. Amazing. Lean into your future, because if you don't, you will waste your time. And I love that idea about, when I number my days, I redeem my time.
Yeah.
If I don't redeem my time, what am I doing? I'm wasting my time.
Right.
And that to me is heartbreaking.
That's such a good thought. I remember reading in a book, and it talks about if you have no one in your life that is for you, like you don't have any investors in your life, you don't have anyone speaking into your life, you don't have anyone preparing a way for your future, you have to remember there's two versions of yourself at the moment, at any given moment. There's you now and the you have in the future.
That's right.
And the future version of you has an advocate in you now.
Yes.
And so every time I am disciplined, every time I make the right decision, every time I live up to the values that I have, I'm making a vote to set up my future self.
That's exactly right.
I'm an advocate for my future self.
That's exactly
what you're saying,
right.
I think, is so it's a hack. It's like planning. It allows your minutes to count for more than 1 minute at a time.
That's right.
So
It
true.
doubles, triples the value of your time.
And if we're talking about investing, what is a better investment than into you?
So true. I used to
Nothing.
tell my students that all the time when I
Yeah.
taught. There's always you make a mistake. You have two options: to choose not to do it again, or to stay and to do it again.
There you
So
go.
it's like lean into your future, lean into what you want to be. This is you now. What do you want to be in the future? And let's move forward and not do it again.
That's exactly right.
It's not about sitting there and being like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done this, or I'm sad about this consequence or the outcome. It's like, okay, but like, what next?
Yeah.
The self-reflection piece of like, what do I do next is extremely important.
Now, let me ask you a question, Teacher Maddie. Was Teacher Maddie wearing these cool hoodies?
Yes.
Yeah,
no, I was
just matching with other teachers. We're matching
we are
today.
twinning today. we
Wait, is
forgot
there
to
dress
include
codes for
you.
teachers?
Sorry, we forgot to include you in the text. We
Yeah,
decided.
yeah. Teacher Maddie, though, I could see, middle school Teacher Maddie just dominating. Build your future, students. I could see it.
Yeah.
You crushed it.
You have to be cool with middle schoolers.
Oh, gosh.
But
yes.
you'd be like a little bit silly too.
Let me ask you a question. Did you ever have a cool middle school teacher? One. Did you have one cool middle school teacher?
Oh,
This is a long pause.
this
Did you
time-
have one?
I did.
Tell me their name.
Well, their name was Miss Carney.
Miss Carney, it took you a second. You're trying to find it.
No, I had a few.
Yeah,
I also
good.
had another one, Miss Turner.
Miss
But
Turner.
Her son was in our grade, so it was like she was kind of a parent more than a
Yes,
teacher. But
yes.
tons of cool middle school teachers.
I cannot remember one cool middle school teacher. Sorry, my PE teachers were cool. Mr. Farmer, he was awesome. And I forget her name. She was great. But high school, tons in high school.
course.
But we need great people in middle school. But I'm glad you're not there anymore. Anyways, number 2, sharpen your axe. Sharpen your axe. This is a big deal when it comes to building your life. Is that I think that, let's be honest, leading is difficult. If leading was easy, everybody would be doing it. I always believe that about leadership. The reason why few people are leading is because it's difficult.
Yeah.
And then part of the dynamic of leading is that you get tired. And so how do you stay sharp as a leader? In order to build your life and build your future, you got to find ways to stay sharp. And some of that is counterintuitive, counterculture. I've got to rest so I can be sharp. I've got to sleep so I can be sharp.
Right.
But whatever you have to do to stay sharp, there's nothing worse than somebody that was great that has grown dull-hearted. Just they're not as excellent. They're not as excited. They're not as passionate. They've lost some of their purpose. I think you got to do everything you can, everything within your power to stay sharp. So sharpen your axe. And so sometimes that's friends. Sometimes that's vacations. Sometimes that's just making sure that you're physically fit. I love those Jim Harbaugh rules for life.
Yeah.
Make sure you discipline yourself daily to be physically fit for life. So whatever it is going for you that's going to allow you to be the sharpest version of yourself. Sometimes there's the things that we say no to that allows you to be the sharpest version of yourself.
Yeah, that's great.
So I want to encourage you as you're building your life, stay sharp. There's nothing better than being around somebody that's like, they are sharp. Man, you get around somebody like that's a great leader, you go, man, man, they're quick. They're quick. They got to answer. They got to reply. They got a word. They got to. It's like they're operating on all cylinders. They're rocking and rolling. Be a sharp leader.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge part of building your future. Number 3, trust the process. And part of that to me is when you're building something is, little Philadelphia 76ers in here, trust the process has been their slogan. Yeah, they've been the slogan for a good 10 to 12 years. There's a lot of draft picks later and a lot of trades, and looks like the Knicks are going to take them out. As when we're recording this podcast, Game 5 coming up tonight in the Madison Square Garden. We'll see what happens. I think Jalen Brunson and the boys are going to take them out, but I like that idea. To me, when I think about trusting the process, it is, what is the saying? A paranoid man makes paranoid plans.
That sounds like a saying.
I think Post Malone might have put that in a song. Something about, I don't know. Come on.
It sounds like a Post Malone sign.
Straight out of Stagecoach, guys. But to me, it's like, or here's another song, Kanye. Act like you're ever going to be around guys like us again.
Yep.
To me, when I trust the process, is I'm not in a hurry.
Yeah.
I'm not in a rush.
Right.
I'm not forcing, manipulating, handing out my business card. Like I always think trusting the process is me understanding if you're great, people will find you.
Yeah.
If you're great, the cream always rises to the top. So when I trust in the process, we could take out the word process and replace it with the word God. I'm trusting God.
That's right.
I'm partnering with God. I'm building my life with God. God's timing is perfect. I don't have to try and manipulate things and force things because I'm just trusting that, like, one of my favorite sayings has always been, God has a fast forward button. He can use it whenever he wants. So he can promote you and put you in places you never imagined. He took David from the backside of the desert, sheepfolds and ewes and lambs. And one day he went from taking care of sheep in the middle of nowhere to millions of people in the palace. God can take you from here to there.
So true.
And when you're building something, you're trusting the process. I've got to go through backside of the desert, dark seasons when nobody's watching in order for me to be fully developed. It is a great saying. If the light that is on you shines brighter than the light that is in you, the light that is on you is going to destroy you.
Right,
so I've got to trust this process that it's about maturation and development and a growth pattern. And if God wants me to be in a bigger place or a better place, that's his decision. But I'm going to trust the whole process, that I'm going to work hard and be diligent and put my best foot forward, and the rest the results will find themselves wherever we find them.
Yeah, you said something on Sunday that was really powerful and struck me. You said, don't just thank God for, the personality and how you were made, but also thank him for how you were raised.
Yeah.
And the process in which he took you to get you where you are now, because it's made you who you are. It's developed you. It's brought you these skills. And it's just that same sentiment of trusting the process, trusting God.
Yeah.
And everything you've gotten through, the deep valleys, the high mountains, whatever, gives you the skills that you need to be in and use today.
Yep, that's right.
So powerful.
Do you think that we put too much emphasis on calling? Maybe like if it's like a non-Christian, maybe it's like we put too much emphasis on the result of a thing versus the journeying and the prospect.
Yeah.
Like when I look at the Bible, it says walk worthy of your calling. It doesn't say achieve your calling.
Yeah.
God will do that for you.
Of course.
I remember like being in Bible college, it was like, what are you called to?
Yeah.
I feel like now it's like just loving my family.
Yeah,
and doing
that's right.
consistent things every day.
Yeah, I think culture is all about what you're doing. And I believe God is more concerned with who you're becoming. So it's less about what you're doing. It's more about who you're becoming. And I think that's, to me, is trusting the process of going like, what I get so excited about the future and building my life. I'm just talking about me personally right now. I've got 4 kids. I got a brand new minivan last night.
That's huge. I can't wait for the ride.
I got a new minivan last night.
My mom used to call our it was a Suburban, but I feel like it could work for a van too, a Swagger wagon.
Yeah, the Swagger wagon.
Yeah.
That's what, it's the best.
You have a new Swagger wagon.
And we took that thing in with all of its sin and French fries and dents and missing remote controls, and we got the same van, just drove away. By the way, we get back, we're pulling up like to our house, and I go, Julia, this van has 8 miles on it.
No way.
We're the first to drive it. Yeah,
crazy.
I got a van. I got 4 kids. But I get excited about my future because I don't know what it holds.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know where I'm going all the way.
Right.
You know, and who knows? I always believe there's this possibility and potential I wake up with going like, who am I about to meet? What idea is God about to give me? Like, what door is going to open? Like, what is about to? I genuinely get excited about my future, and I trust the process. That the process really is up to God more than me.
Okay, this is our newest sponsor, and Five Lakes Coffee has been roasting their own coffee now for 20 years.
Wow.
They're based in Michigan, and they started out as a community-based roaster, and now they're providing coffee by subscription.
That's so cool.
Anywhere coffee is drank.
I love that.
And so head over to Five Lakes to set up a coffee subscription for yourself, or just check out any of their specialty craft roasted coffees. Look, around here in Los Angeles, we have great coffee, but we have a lot of questionable coffee as well.
Very true, very true.
If you don't want to question your coffee and you want to make sure you have a specialty roasted cup of coffee every day, Five Lakes Coffee Roasters is the one to do it for you. Head on over to fivelakes.com, grab some coffee, and check this out. They have a specific roast. It's called Chris's Blend. And every time you purchase a bag of that coffee, $1 of it goes to fundraising and missions.
Wow, that's amazing.
How cool is that?
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
And so if you're like me and Maddie, you love coffee, this is for you. If you don't love coffee, this is a great place for you to start to love coffee. And just, I don't trust a leader who doesn't drink
Coffee.
Fivelakes.com. Head on over, grab some great coffee for you and your whole organization.
I'm really not that much in control.
Yeah.
I can only control my input and my attitude, how hard I work and the attitude I work with. So I get excited about where's all this going to go?
Yeah.
So would you say you're more focused on projections than plans? Like you have daily plans, maybe weekly, monthly plans, but you project it 5 years in the future. Like,
I don't know. I think, you know, to answer that question would be plans over projection probably for me, because I just like a plan right in front of me rather than a plan in 5 years.
and then if it moves or changes, then we're flexible with it.
Yeah, you just, in life, I woke up with this thought yesterday, life is so long. It's just long. You just never know where it's going to go, where it's going to take you. Teacher Maddie was teaching 2 years ago.
I was in Georgia 2 years ago.
Yeah, think about that.
Wow.
It's crazy. You're saying all this. I'm thinking back like to myself 5 years ago. I'm like, I would have thought, if they're like, what will you be doing in 5 years?
Yeah,
Be
exactly.
in Georgia, teaching school, maybe with a family.
Yeah.
And now I'm in Los Angeles, the
Yeah.
best city in the world.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, truly.
Yes.
Well, think about this. On Sunday, we were walking out in the courtyard, and Quentin is with me, and I saw Colin,
Yes.
who started Leadership Lean In.
Yep.
And so I'm hugging him and his wife and saying hello, and I love him so much. And Quentin says, "Do I know that guy?" And I said, "Quentin, remember that's the guy we used to go to his studio in Hollywood when we started Leadership Lean In, and it had this beautiful view of downtown LA, and it was his idea. Leadership Lean In was his idea. Hey, I have this podcast studio. Why don't you come by my podcast studio and record? We'll edit it, we'll post it, and all you got to do is show up." That's how Leadership Lean In started.
That's crazy.
Isn't that
So
wild?
I never had this idea like, I want to
Right.
start a podcast. It's going to be, so I would stop by once every 6 weeks, and Israel Houghton or Jeremy Foster or Rich Jr. or Christine Kane or somebody, Chris Hodges would be in town, and hey, let's go record a podcast.
Yeah.
And that's how so I'm just saying, just trust the process.
So
You
true.
never know where it's going to go. Number 4, keep your eyes straight before you. I do believe that when you build your life, you cannot live distracted. We call them weapons of mass distraction. And so I cannot live a distracted life. And that's why I think you got to be very careful with your phone, be very careful with your social media. I cannot get my eyes on them because I have to keep my eyes straight in front of me on what God has called me to do in this season of my life. And I don't appreciate, I call this guy Swivelhead Steve. Have you ever heard me talk about Swivelhead Steve?
Yeah.
Swivelhead Steve's got his eyes on everything else and everybody else. And look, and I can acknowledge, and I'm excited for everybody, and I hope everybody wins. But really, there's a proverb I've always held on to in Proverbs 4. It says, keep your eyes straight before you. Do not look to the right or left. To me, what that's saying is stay focused.
Right.
Be purpose-driven. Keep your eyes straight in front of you. And so I can celebrate and champion everybody else. But really, when I show up in heaven, I'm not going to be held accountable for you or you.
Right.
I'm going to be held accountable for what I did with what was on my life and the life I was called to build with the resources, talents, gifting, and grace that God gave my life. And so I think this is a big one. Keep your eyes straight in front of you. Most people stop being deliberate and being intentional and focused because they live a life of distraction. And they're just so caught up, swept up in what everybody else is doing. And the Bible calls these people busybodies. They're just talking about everybody, worried about everybody's business. How are they doing? What are they doing? What are they up to? How are you doing? What are you up to? How you feeling? You don't even know how you're feeling.
Right.
Find out how you're doing. How about you check in, and this how you get planks in your eyes, and you're worried about specks in others. Is that you worry about other people's business more than your own.
Yep.
I got to tell you, I'm grossly concerned with me trying to arrest this guy.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm worried about how do I make sure I'm a good husband and I am a great father and I am managing my life well. I don't have a lot of time to complain and worry and them. And
You know, Gen Z has a term for those people.
what are they?
They call them yappers.
Ooh, never heard it.
They
Learning.
just like to yap, 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 yap.
I'm learning.
Wow.
They just yapping.
Yapping away.
And do you think it's because they're so, I was going to say unthankful. Maybe they're so unsatisfied with their own life.
100%.
I always think, I try and tell my boys at school when we're dropping them off for school, hey boys, remember, if anybody is mean today at lunch or the playground, what they're telling you when they're mean is that they don't like themselves.
That's really powerful.
So remember, when mean kids are mean, we can have compassion on them because they probably don't come from a good home. They probably don't have good parents. They're probably upset with their life. So just be kind to them because they're not happy. Mean people, I love that saying, mean people suck. They do.
They do.
Mean people suck.
They do.
Who do we love? Kindness,
Yeah.
kind people, people that have good words, a word, in season, a word that's encouraging, a word that's refreshing, an encourager. So when I keep my eyes focused on my thing, what I'm really saying is, I hope you're doing great. I hope you're doing well. I trust that you are, but I know that I've got a lot of plates. I'm swerved, and if I get so distracted, I can't really be faithful with what I'm building and what God called me to do. And I do think that there's a tension here. Of course, we want to have compassion and we want to lean into others. But even within that, I'm focused on who God has called me to serve and who God has called me to have compassion for. So I do believe within the scope of that, there is a Zacchaeus in the tree that I'm supposed to get a coffee with.
100%.
That's still focusing on the area and the territory God called me to serve.
Yeah. And I think that is part of living like a fully integrated life.
That's right.
Your life isn't compartmentalized. When I go home, I'm going to go home to a different place, but I'm still the same value-driven, purpose-driven
That's right.
person I am here as I am there.
That's right.
And that integration, I think, is when people are only focused on other people, I feel bad because I'm like, your thing is so small in your eyes that you can see past it into what everyone else is doing. Like, what a small life to live. It's just, I feel bad for that.
Yeah. Life it really is perspective, right? And if you're going to build a great life, we're talking about building your life today. If you're going to build a great life, you got to keep a healthy perspective on you, on others. You can kind of feel when it's teetering into a negative spot. You're like, I don't know. We're going to get back and keep my eyes straight ahead. Last one, number 5, God will establish your name. I just believe this with all my heart. God tells Abram, I will bless you and I will make your name great. So God has the power to make a name great, that when you say that name, there's weight on it. There's moxie to it. There's influence on it. God exalts and sits down. I always love that scripture. Promotion cometh not from the east nor the west. Promotion cometh from the Lord. So God promotes a name to hold a certain aura, a certain ambassador spirit. There's just this ability. And we see that even if you once had a bad name, let's talk about that. You had a bad name for a while, a negative name. When people say your name, there's trash, like the Clippers. When I say that name is a laugh, you laughed. I said it. You just laughed right away. I said the Clippers, you laugh. Okay? So even if you have a negative name, this is inbounds for every person except for the LA Clippers. Even if you have a bad name, God can turn around a bad name. If you've had let's use the word life here. If you've had a bad life, God could turn around your life and give you a great life. So he has that power to redeem and to restore. And we see that with Rahab. Rahab has a bad name. He gives her an opportunity and turns around her reputation. I just love that about a rep. You got a bad rep. You got a bad rep with others. You got a reputation for being lazy, or you got a reputation for being toxic. You got a reputation for being a loudmouth, or fill in the blank for whatever bad reputation you once had. Do you know that you have the power to turn it around?
Right.
I love that about building life, is that I have this huge opportunity in front of me to be diligent and faithful and consistent. And it's the compound of consistency we talk about with James Clear. And the more I do that, the more that there's something associated or attached to my name. Guard your name.
Right.
Protect your name. And there are moves that you can make, I think, in your leadership that bring a protection to your name. In other words, don't give people ammo.
Right.
Don't make there's a great story about David and Saul. It says that Saul behaved poorly and everybody hated him. David behaved wisely and everybody loved him. Wow, rocket science. Behave good, people like you. Behave bad, people hate you. So I can control some of the narrative. No, there's going to be persecution. There's going to be accusation. There's going to be projecting. There's going to be speculation. All that stuff, I can't control that. But to the best of my ability, I'm going to live my life in such a way that God can put something on my name. So ultimately, it's not about me making much of my name. In turn, I love that. I can make much of his name.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Solomon and who was it? The Queen of Sheba. It's better than what people said.
They didn't tell me the half of this place.
Yeah, didn't even. It's like God can redeem, or even in your own leadership, you can redeem your bad name. But if you've got a great name, the velocity in which you're learning and growing from one meeting with a person to a week later, you go, oh boy, you're even better than a week ago.
Yep, that's right.
Man.
And you know what I think is one of the most powerful things we can do as a Christian is to allow people to walk into the name that's been redeemed.
That's right.
I think it's so easy sometimes to be like, oh, well, they were always this way, and like, we're just going to count them off. There's no way. Or like, I'm just weary of that person because of this.
Yeah.
But it's like, if the Lord is giving the grace to redeem and restore, why shouldn't I?
Yeah, and I think that right there is very powerful. We cannot hold people hostage to their past.
Right.
We don't want people to do that to us.
No.
So if you don't want anybody to do that to you, somehow you have to find a way to not do that to them.
Right.
Wow.
Because there is a boomerang effect with that.
100%.
Judge not lest you be judged, right? What you sow, you're gonna reap that thing.
Yeah.
So you've got to. I think I require margin to fail. For those that are around me, I need margin. I'm going to make mistakes. And those that are around me need margin to fail because we're going to make mistakes. What I love about building my life is going like, I've made a ton of mistakes. This is funny. Years ago, I was preaching at the Bible college I graduated from. And it was my first time preaching at the chapel after 5 years after graduating or something like that. So this would have been, if I graduated college in 2002, let's say this is like around 2007. Yes, before I got married for sure, because Julia would have killed me over this story. So this is like 2007. No. So I go back to my Bible college and it's a big deal. I went to chapel here 3 times a week for 4 years. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m., 4 years. Okay, so this is a lot of chapel. I've been in this room a lot of times. There's a reason why I didn't come back for 5 years. Okay, I need a 5-year break. So I come back and I'm young and I'm dumb. So if I graduated when I was 22, so now I'm only 27. Yeah, that's before I got married. So I had this joke. that I thought was so funny.
Oh gosh.
Oh no.
And it was probably good for the green room post service.
Oh gosh.
Maybe just a few people in the back kind of joke. No cuss words, nothing bad. But, just definitely not in a microphone in front of the Bible college. And so in my intro, I said the joke. Calculated. I was like, man, do you know how many services I had to sit through here? Do you know how many boring chapels? Do you know how many? Man, I wish somebody would have come into chapel and said something funny like this when I was here. So I'm getting up young and dumb. So I calculated, but I'm like, man, I would have given anything for some young preacher to come through and do something like this. So I get up and I say this joke and the student body goes nuts.
Oh,
I mean, they howl. They're going crazy. They're laughing. I see some of my professors in the back.
Oh, no.
They're looking at me like, we raised you better than this. What are you doing? So then I preach, and I know the president really well. He thought it was funny. He's not the president anymore. He thought it was so funny.
After that day.
So years later, I meet this guy who's a pastor in our area, and he's like, I hated you for a long time. And I said, what do you mean? He said, yeah, I thought you were a joke. I said, what do you mean? He said, I was going to Bible college there, and you came to our chapel and you said that joke. I said, this guy's a joke.
Wow.
So this guy's an idiot. He's a joke. He said, so for a long time, I didn't listen to your stuff. I didn't follow you.
Wow.
I didn't like you because I thought you didn't take the Bible serious. And I thought, well, thank God that season of my life is over and we're friends now.
Yeah.
And now he's, a close friend. And I love this man. But it just reminded me, even if you do dumb stuff, you can evolve and grow and develop and get out of that dumb season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't stay a knucklehead though.
Yeah.
You got to make decisions to develop a great reputation. And we end with this. I love labeling and ending. It's such a preacher move right there. And I close with this, everybody. A good name is better to be chosen than great riches.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a great name than a great bank account. Because a great name will do more for you than money. Money can't buy you reputation, by the way. A good name is better to be chosen. So as you're building your life, guard your name, protect your name. I'm saying that in context. Do everything you can not to sabotage what could be on your family name and the legacy that you're building. We love you. We're for you. We believe in you, and you're building a great life. Make sure you like and subscribe. Again, leave a comment. Where did you lean in from today? We love you, and we'll see you next episode.